Seriousness versus sincerity. All our comparison with other people begins with what we think of ourselves. Jealousy disappears when we understand our uniqueness. We may then create another problem. We may believe ourselves to be so special that we start taking ourselves far too seriously. What is seriousness? Seriousness is nothing but paying undue importance to something at the cost of everything else. It arises from the inability to see that all of life is just a drama that is unfolding every minute. Seriousness is the result of over-expectation from life. A small story. Two boys were building sand castles on the beach. They suddenly had a quarrel, and one of the boys got angry and kicked the sand castle. The other boy went and complained to the king about his serious problem. The king began to laugh at him for getting so upset over silly sand castles. But the king's advisor, a Zen monk, started laughing at the king. He asked, "When you can fight battles and lose sleep over stone castles, why do you laugh at these boys for fighting over sand castles?"
All our seriousness is just about sandcastles. For the child at that young age, sandcastles seem precious, whereas at our age, stone castles seem precious, that's all. Whether it is a sandcastle or a stone castle, the seriousness behind it is the same. The object may be different, but the seriousness is the same. So don't laugh when children fight over sandcastles.
Seriousness closes your mind to the openness and freedom of life. It makes you dull and dead. It curbs your thinking and makes you stick to the familiar patterns that you know and use all the time.
A small story.
In a Zen monastery, there was a competition among disciples over who had maintained the best garden. One disciple was of a very serious nature. He took the competition quite seriously. He always kept his garden neat, clean, and well swept. All the grass was of the same height. All the bushes were neatly trimmed. He was sure that he would get the first prize. On the day of the competition, the master went around all the gardens. Then he came back and ranked the gardens. This disciple's garden got the lowest ranking. Everyone was shocked. The disciple could not contain himself and asked, "Master, what is wrong with my garden? Why did you rank me the lowest?" The master looked at him and asked, "Where are all the dead leaves? A garden maintained in such a way is no longer alive. It is dead." Seriousness kills spontaneity. Seriousness destroys creativity. Science has proved that when you perform a task in a relaxed and light manner, your thinking and decision-making capacity is automatically enhanced. The same task, when performed in a serious manner, dulls your mind. When you do something too seriously, when you are too concerned about the result, you are actually not allowing yourself to perform at the optimum level.
Of course, you need to make plans and you need to think ahead. But do it with sincerity, not with seriousness. Seriousness is not the same as sincerity. Sincerity is focusing on the task with enthusiasm and youthfulness. Sincerity is giving the task your best without worrying excessively about the result. When you are serious, you don't enjoy. You don't laugh. How can you laugh when you are serious? Be sensitive. Being sensitive means being strong, being aware of everything. Understand, being sensitive does not mean being open to everything. Being unable to say no does not mean sensitivity. That is actually ego. The person who is not able to say no when he needs to is egoistic. Sensitivity is having the clarity about when to say yes and when to say no, and having the sincerity and courage to follow that decision. Perfectionism.
Perfectionism always comes from your mind. It becomes a goal for you. You work towards it as a goal. When you work towards it as a goal, it becomes dead and mundane. But when you are total, when you are established in your heart, it becomes a deep experience. The outcome has to be beautiful, and it will give you joy. Then whatever you do, you will be in tune with existence. Whatever you do, do it wholly, totally, and it will be total. You won't have to worry about perfectionism at all.
Perfectionism never gives you joy. It only fulfills your ego. Even if you feel fulfilled at the end of it, it is only a fulfillment of your ego, never a fulfillment of your being. Be very clear. Perfectionists are the biggest egoists. They miss the dimension of being total. Totality is possible when you enter
into something deeply. Perfectionism is never possible because it is in your mind, and your mind keeps changing its definition of perfection. Learning from mistakes. Have the courage to make mistakes. Serious people are always afraid to make mistakes. They take themselves too seriously. They think too much about themselves. It is too much to make mistakes and have someone point it out to them. Actually, I tell you, these people who are afraid of making small mistakes end up making big blunders. Actually, when you make a mistake, people point it out, and you are not able to bear it. Your ego gets hurt, and you are very sensitive to this. So to avoid getting your ego hurt, you try your best not to make mistakes. You plan so unconsciously and continuously to keep guarding your ego, but the reasons you give are all different. It is not that you are lying. It is just that you are not aware of the subtle way in which your ego works. There is nothing wrong with making mistakes. In fact, by making a few mistakes, you come to know clearly how to avoid making mistakes because you have experientially understood it. The more you learn from mistakes, the more you know about how not to make mistakes. Do things to the best of your intelligence and enthusiasm, but without worrying about whether you might make a mistake. The moment you are worried that it might be a mistake, you are worried about your ego getting hurt. Synchronicity of existence. When you are not so concerned about your ego getting hurt, you will have the courage to take any jump. All your so-called worry is actually about your ego getting hurt. When you are free from ego, you will act with more freedom and courage. You will be more willing to explore. When you are full of wonder for existence, you can create. On the other hand, when you are full of ego, you cannot create. Even if you do create, your creation will be a dead creation. It will be like a plastic rose that looks perfect but lacks fragrance and life. When an artist creates out of love, he gives a certain special quality to the creation. If he creates out of ego, the creation is lifeless. When you are able to resonate with the whole of existence, you can see every single thing in life as a manifestation of existence. When you are in this state, you get whatever you seek because you are moving in tune with existence. Life then becomes a miracle. This is what we call the synchronicity of existence. When you are resonating with existence, you will not seek things in a greedy manner. Existence will simply keep giving you what you need for that moment, even before you seek it. This is what I mean when I say, whatever you seek, you will find. The more you lose yourself to existence, the more egoless you become. The more egoless you become, the more you lose yourself to existence. Life is beyond your logic. Most of us unconsciously believe that life is filled with incidents that are under the control of our logic. But life, again and again, reminds you of the truth that life is beyond your logic. You are reminded of this fact especially when some near and dear friend or family member dies, or when something unexpected happens. If you lose your job, suddenly you see that life is not under your control. You suddenly wake up to the reality that life is beyond your logic.
Then you start seeking the truth.
Especially if you live in the city, your routine is almost fixed. From morning until night, you know exactly how your day will unfold. You know where you will go, what you will do or not do, and what and when you will eat. Practically, your ego gives an idea. Your logic gives you the feeling that your life is under the control of your logic. That is why whenever some incident happens that is beyond your logic, that is not under your control, you are totally shaken. You are not able to handle it. You don't know what to do. Either you fall into depression or you just suffer.
There is an important truth, an ultimate secret that you must understand. Never think things are going smoothly because of you. In spite of you, things are going smoothly. This is one of the important secrets. As long as you think it is because of you that things are going smoothly, you will be constantly suffering with ego.
What is ego? According to the Upanishads, as long as you think that life has a purpose and you run behind that purpose, you are an egoistic person. When you realize the beauty of the purposelessness of life, you have dropped your ego. The master is the one who makes you understand the purposelessness of life. Whatever you think of as being worthy now is not actually the true and worthy thing. A man with ego searches with purpose and misses reality.
Death clearly shows that whatever mind you lived with has no real existence. When you realize the purposelessness of life, a new consciousness starts blossoming in you. The moment you experience that there is nothing to be achieved, that the diamonds you are protecting are not diamonds but stones, and that all your great things in life are mere toys, you will understand the purposelessness of life. The real purpose of life cannot be understood by the ego. When the ego is dropped, you will understand the divine purpose of life, the leelas or the divine play. You will enjoy the drama. If you keep thinking that life has a purpose and wait to achieve something, you will miss life itself. Life itself is the path and the goal. When you have a goal, you will run. Your feet will not touch the ground, and you will miss the beauty of existence or nature. When you drop the goal, the emphasis will be on the path. When you understand the purposelessness of life, you understand the meaning of living. Until then, you are just a living dead person. A person in a coma lying in the hospital bed and a normal person who has not realized the truth both live without proper consciousness. The Master is the one who makes you realize this truth. The meaning of living is the meaning of life or existence. Drop the goal and enjoy life. Meditate on this teaching again and again. The truth will dawn on you, and the Nithya Ananda state will flower in you, the state that is the very meaning of life. The solid feeling of no. Many times you may have seen, whenever someone says something to you, the first reaction inside you is a certain resistance, a no. When you say no, it is ego. Fulfilling. You feel solid and firm inside yourself. When you say yes, you feel liquid and vulnerable. Your ego feels submissive, which is uncomfortable, so you say no. This is also why you feel good when you break rules at home, school, in the workplace, or while driving. You feel boosted in ego when you say no to rules. You can see this with small children. The moment you say they are not meant to have certain things, they will ask only for those things.